everyone! Today I picked up some beautiful Amaryllis at the garden center. Amaryllis or Hippeastrums are bulbs that typically are forced indoors for the Christmas or very early winter period when little else is in bloom. I've published some videos about Amaryllis before, about how to care for them, deadheading, and also how to get them to rebloom. They actually make really cool gifts. They typically come in a package, ready-made, with a pot, your Amaryllis bulb, and also typically some soil that you can use. So this is soil pellet that needs to be rehydrated, but otherwise sometimes you get little bags of soil. All the person has to do is pot them up and then wait for flowers. So I picked up those gorgeous new varieties. So this one, very pointy, it's called Ruby Star. It's very surprising for me that I would pick up something red, but I thought with the green it's really interesting, and also I like the star-shaped flower that it has. This is Amaryllis Alfresco, and of course it's white, but it's a double bloom, so that's going to be super interesting. That's that bulb that you see right here. Then Amaryllis Charisma. I thought that was a really good mix between the white and the red to tie everything together. And last but not least, Amaryllis Sumatra. I think this is so striking. I really like that flower shape. I think it's very delicate, and I think all the colors will go really well together. I've actually never used pelletized soil before, so I'll just check the instruction quick. It says, place the peat-free compost pellet in a suitable mixing container and add 350 ml of lukewarm water. Allowed to stand and expand for 30 to 60 minutes. So we'll see what happens. About 30 minutes later, the soil is ready to use and is fully hydrated. For the container, I'm going to use those gorgeous baking dishes. I actually picked them up at a thrift store in France. I really love the look of them, and they're glazed, so they'll be watertight. So that's really awesome. Now the planting can start. I'm just making sure that the soil is nice and crumbly and breaking up any bigger pieces. For planting, I'm carefully creating a little well and then placing the roots down and being careful not to damage them. And I'm taking extra care to not put any soil in the neck of the bulb. Then you want to cover the bulb about 2/3 up with some soil. If you have old roots that are very small, you can go ahead and pull them out, but don't damage those bigger fibrous roots, because this is how the bulb will get its hydration and nutrition from. Amaryllis tend to do better when they are pot bound. That means that the diameter of the pot in which you plant them is just barely bigger than the diameter of the bulb. Here for my display that's not the case, but if you had only one bulb, for example, you'd want to try to follow that rule. This bulb actually started growing. That's so exciting. We see the leaf and also a little bud forming. That's so exciting. So this bulb specifically will need more water, but the others, until you see green growth emerging from them, be careful with watering, because your bulbs can rot as there's no uptake of moisture yet. You may have noticed earlier when I was planting that my container doesn't have drainage holes, so I'm being very sparing with the water, and I'm only watering here because I already have one bulb that's growing. I usually like to top dress with moss, especially for winter. I think it's a really pretty look, and it's also going to be very simple because of course the star of the shows are going to be the blooms. So if you're not sure how often then you need to water, I would advise not to top dress. That way you can directly see the soil and judge whether it needs more water or not. The flowers will end up being pretty tall, about 50 to 60 centimeters, and very top heavy, so it's recommended to stake them. So I'll probably do that a little bit later in the season, and you can use some twigs or some specialized support just to avoid your Amaryllis flopping over. Now I'm getting ready to do the sister container, and for this one I'm going to reuse bulbs I've had for a few years. After fertilizing them in my previous video, I kind of forgot them in a dark shaded corner so they couldn't recharge batteries. So I'm not really sure how much of a bloom show I'm going to get this year, but I'm giving it a go anyway. One of the bulbs actually produce a lot of smaller bulbs, a lot of offsets, so you can just go ahead and detach those, repot them, and they will bloom in a few years' time. and then you can go right ahead and pot up the mother bulb. I'll place this arrangement indoors in a frost-free place in a warm and sunny location, and this will encourage the blooms to come a little bit sooner. Once it starts blooming, of course you want to move it to a cooler area of the home so that the blooms will last longer, as you would do for any flower arrangement you keep inside. So right now we're just at the beginning of November, so I think I can get away with blooms for Christmas because these will take between 8 to 10 weeks to flower. But otherwise they will be ready for Jan, and that's still very nice. Thanks for watching, and of course I'll be sharing my blooms on Instagram, so I'll see you there. Bye! Oh wow, Ruby Star really wants to go. You can see those are beginning of the few leaves. Oh, and so those are leaves, and it's really good, they'll feed the plant. And this one is a flower bud, and it's starting